huge news for pop opera fans in the Lake Geneva region. Il Divo are coming to town. If you don't know who Il Divo are, then your life is about to change forever. Having sold over 26 million albums worldwide, the brainchild of Simon Cowell well and truly are the kings of the pop opera fusion genre. The group is made up of Sebastian Isambard from France, Carlos Marin from Spain, American David Miller and Urs Buhler from Lucerne. They've toured the world on numerous occasions, collaborated with the likes of Mariah Carey and Celine Dion, toured with Barbra Streisand and covered some of the catchiest and most popular pop songs out there. This is the first installment of a three-part look at Il Divo, much like we did for the WWE. This week though, we're swapping spandex and muscles for suits and high voices. In today's show, we'll be finding out a little bit more about the Swiss member of the group, Urs Buhler, his involvement with Simon Cowell and life on the road. Buhler grew up as a musical young man, 10 years of violin at school, later swapped for an electric guitar in the hope of attaining every teenager's dream of being cool. For young Urs, though, there was never really much doubt that he would be a musical chap.
The singing has always been around in our family somehow. I was in a boys' choir when I was a boy with my brother, and my parents, they both were in local church choirs, and my dad used to play in the local theatre group, and he used to sing solos in the men's choir and everything. So that's kind of been all around me ever since.
Urs went on to train as a singer after leaving school and has been singing professionally ever since. It was while he was working at the Dutch Opera in Amsterdam that he heard about a man called Simon Cowell, who was putting together a pop opera supergroup, a group that would take 2 whole years to form. Buhler auditioned for Simon Cowell in his office in London. No piano, no music, just straight up a cappella. Back in 2003, Simon Cowell was a lot less well known, and I asked Urs about his experiences with Cowell.
In the beginning, he was very hands-on in order to shape that first album. Actually, from the second album on, already he started to lean back a bit. His career got much busier. On the last album, I haven't seen any of him. He listens to the final songs that come out of the studio and approves or not. We've kind of established ourselves as such, and we've got an A&R team around us, and as I said, he's very busy. He's doing loads of other things. So it was great to have him, and we owe him forever because he took the initiative and he made the investment in creating Il Divo. And he will always remain a great friend for us, certainly.
Il Divo are 3 months into a world tour that doesn't end until next September. Country after country, city after city, concert hall after concert hall. And while this certainly isn't a band that traipses across country in a van, the relentless touring, I'm sure, takes its toll. I asked Urs how the tour was going and what life on the road was like with the other guys in the band.
I love every show we're singing. I am looking forward to it. I'm enjoying the tour very much. The band is great. It's my family. I really love the other 3 boys. We have shared so much together in the last almost 9 years. The other 3 boys are the only people that really go through the same thing as I do. That just makes them somehow the closest people on that level that I have in life. You know, even friends and family. For the rest, yeah, it is very much up and down for me personally. Not that I'm a mentally stable person at all, but yeah, you come off stage sometimes and you're really euphoric, and then you come into your hotel room and it's just another hotel room in another city, and you're actually just alone, and that can be then a bit of a harsh reality kicking in. But most of the time I'm enjoying this tour very, very much. I do what I love doing, and I'm very grateful to be able to do so.
In the next installment, we'll be finding out about some of Urs's career highlights so far and what advice he would give to any young singers. George Powell for Radio Frontier. Radio Frontier continues its in-depth dive into the mind of Swiss tenor and Il Divo favourite Urs Buhler. In part 1, we found out about Urs's early career, his experiences with the man behind Il Divo, Simon Cowell, and what life on the road was like. In today's programme, we'll find out what his career highlight is so far and what advice he has for young aspiring singers. It's a question I often ask musicians. You're old and wrinkly, your MySpace page has been closed for decades, and no one's liked anything on your Facebook wall in ages. Then one afternoon, a knock at the room of your old folks' home. Your favourite grandchild has come to visit. How nice! They ask you, Grandpa, what was your best moment as a musician?
I guess our tour with Barbara Streisand in North America is certainly one of the greatest things we've ever done. Because Barbara Streisand is an artist obviously of a caliber which there aren't many around anymore. And to be able to share the stage with her for a whole North America tour, because it was her last tour and everybody came to see her shows, especially like the one in Madison Square Garden, for example, where really the whole Hollywood A-list was there, and Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton and everybody, you know. And we met all these people, and I think that would definitely be one of the big highlights.
Il Divo's world tour doesn't end until September, and their performance in Geneva is sure to be a good one. It's the first time the group are performing here, as they tend to only play out in Zurich. The group were put together almost a decade ago by Simon Cowell, who spent 2 whole years looking for the perfect combination of looks, attitude, and obviously talent. No lip-syncing or playback with these boys, all classically trained with years of professional singing behind them. It's some top-quality music. Things can't go right all the time though, and after telling me that the 4 of them get together and listen back to every performance, I asked Urs if they still make mistakes.
Every time you open your mouth, there's a potential for it to go wrong. There's probably things that the audience wouldn't even notice. But you, for yourself as a singer who's been singing professionally for 25 years, you know exactly what you expect from yourself. And I think probably more difficult for us to be happy with ourselves than to do a good show for the audience. The good thing we have is, you know, that we're not alone on stage, and that's very supporting and very comforting as well, that I've always got 3 other singers with me. If I've got a night where I lack a bit of energy, then the other boys are there to carry that off a bit, and vice versa.
So while the group was put together by Simon Cowell, the 4 of them certainly didn't win an X Factor style talent show, and the proof is in the longevity of Il Divo's career to date. I asked Urs what advice he would have for any young aspiring singers.
You have to work very hard, and you have to be very persistent, because you have to constantly prove yourself as a classical singer just as well as in the pop business. Every night when we go on stage, and the next morning you've got some journalists writing something in a newspaper and probably thousands of people reading it. So you have to prove yourself every night, and in the classical world it's the same, and in the classical world you have to keep on doing auditions for new jobs when you're a freelancer, and you just have to work hard, believe in yourself. Just don't let little setbacks, don't let them knock you.
On the 3rd and final instalment of our look at Il Divo, we'll be finding out what we can expect from their show in Geneva, and also what the future holds for the operatic quartet. George Powell, Radio Frontier. Congratulations to Jan, Giselle and B, our 3 lucky winners. You'll be swept off your feet by the mesmerizing sounds of Il Divo. If you can get through the opening number without shivers running up and down your spine, I would say you're either an emotionless she-devil or a liar. Every second of the performance is written to have you gasping for breath, each note more powerful and moving than the last, every rising crescendo more rousing, and every pause more moving, like a whisper forgotten by time itself. Try and forget that you're at a concert and allow yourself to be transported through time and space on a magic carpet of emotion. In part 1 of Radio Frontier's look at Il Divo, we found out from Swiss tenor Urs Buhler what life was like on the road and about his experiences with Simon Cowell. In part 2, we heard about his career highlights so far and what advice he had for aspiring singers. And in part 3, we hear about what he expects from their show in Geneva and what the future holds for Il Divo. Il Divo's massive world tour takes them, well, pretty much all over the world, although they aren't playing a single gig in France. I would have thought that Paris would be the ideal place for an Il Divo concert, but not so, and that means that Geneva is the closest place most French fans can see the group. I asked Urs about their show on the 22nd.
We've always been in the Hallenstadion in Zurich when we've come through on the tour so far, and that's always been fantastic. I've got a very big family in Switzerland. I've always got about 40 people of my direct family in the venue, so that is brilliant. I don't know how many are going to come to Geneva as well. I expect actually a lot of French people coming to Geneva, because we do not play a gig in France this year. So I'm very curious about how the concert is going to be in Geneva. It's the first time for us.
Ain't no half-stepping with Il Divo, and if their videos on YouTube are anything to go by, it's sure to be a great evening. I've come to know an awful lot about this group, and the genuine niceness that came across when I spoke to Urs, albeit over the phone from a hotel room in London, makes them seem like a group of hard-working men enjoying what they do and keen to bring joy to audiences all over the world. They've been going strong for almost a decade now, and I wanted to hear from Urs what he thought the future held for Il Divo.
We're having a ball with what we're doing, especially here in Europe, UK. It's been very, very successful so far. I think the people enjoy our concerts very, very much. I think that's mostly where our future lies as well. You know, record sales have declined just in general. We want to tackle new repertoire, you know, every year, every other year, because that's just interesting and that's challenging, and see how we can evolve Il Divo's sound and the arrangements and everything. But I think mostly in the live work, that's where our future lies, and that's what we enjoy the most as well. So I hope we'll be touring for another 10, 20 years and hopefully make a lot of people happy with our concerts.
So there you have it from the man himself. Il Divo are hoping to tour for the next couple of decades.